Alrighty. Yes, lost the beer. Tired of the grumpy Santa look. So. Yeah, before we get into discussing Picard and what they've done to me on that regard. And again, this isn't because no one's here yet, but I'm gonna discuss this one YouTuber, Soph, 14-year-old kid doing political stuff here. Swears like a sailor, but she definitely has got a mind sharper than anybody. And they're starting to pick on her some, so I'm gonna start in there. DJ Odyssey, hello. Okay. So let's just all right. So I can get to my channel here, so I can follow a little bit there. Go. Yeah, anyone noticing notifications? I've gotten a couple of notifications about me premiering a review of the Picard trailer, and it was blocked almost immediately the first time around. Right, and so I did up a disputing the claim for one thing. Because I got a watermark over the whole thing. It's like, this is where they use, the compliance with the, fair use of Act of 2007. Totally ignored it. Yep. So, all right, finally it's over a bit. Hello, Steve Rendell from, I'd like to get back to the UK one day. And when I get back there, I'm not leaving. But back in England, I'm losing the... not leaving. Yeah, it had to be that fast. It has to be automated. I'm working on, So I worked up another one trying to see if we can get around the bot somehow and put heavy filters on the thing and distort the image and everything. Still got banned. So maybe that's auditory. Which means I probably have to go through a little more elaborate things if I can get my version of Cool Edit to work, which it will occasionally. Then I alter the sound. I don't know. Or just delete the soundtrack and, read the narration myself. But I shouldn't have to anyway. I should be able to run that thing straight up there. Maybe nothing but just a little thing, courtesy of CBS or whatever. Because I'm doing a review. Okay? Ridiculous. Yeah. I haven't run the thing twice. It's still like a 10-minute video. Come on. It's not like I'm, going that nuts here. But, schmutz off there. But if they block the thing in, let's just talk about the thing. It's a teaser. So by design, there's not much there. They're not going to, you're not going to see anything on that thing. It's just, we got some lovely views of the vineyard and creative bottles and some talking about you led us through the biggest rescue armada and then the unthinkable and led us through the darkness. And so why did you leave? Well, what you just described sounds like a pretty good damn reason to leave, don't you think? Clearly something bad happened, so that you do the math, lady. Okay. Why do you think I left? I just wonder if they, because the idea was he was supposed to become the head of Section 31. I wonder if maybe they took a page from The Prisoner, and Section 31 is now sending Picard out to the village to find out why did you resign. That might be more interesting actually than what they have in mind on the other one. At this point, who the hell knows what they're going to do, because with all the licensees stomping their feet and saying, forget it, you're on your own, they're having to rework a lot of stuff. Those uniforms, I kind of get the impression were thrown together at the last minute. That's why they're so damn baggy. None of them fit right. So, For that was part. Now that's the closest you're going to end. They're still not buying them, apparently. Well, that'll make Boothby more interesting, that's for sure. But again, we don't know much about Boothby, so it's not really a portrayal of the character if he turns out he was Section 31. Just keeping an eye on the cadets, looking for hopeful recruits. But I don't know. Like I said, there's really nothing we can go on except that okay, for some reason he's wearing a tie. Who the hell decided ties are back in? That doesn't seem like something that would come back, once it was gone. And it's clearly gone by the time of at least the 23rd century, certainly the 24th. We may not know much for, the little secrecy clamp that JJ has got these guys can do with it. I still remember it was like, because Next Generation premiered in September of 87. I was still over in England, and I was already in Starlog. But 86 or so they were developed, and we already knew the full cast, their characters, some of the background. We were seeing ship designs, and so when the thing kicks in, we finally get to the show. Get the show in, we're already well aware of who these people are, and we're already loving them, okay? Because we like what we've seen so far. Secrecy only goes so far. It's like, yeah, it's fine for individual story ideas, but you don't want to have them go completely cold into this damn story, okay? That was part of what Roddenberry did in getting the fans involved and feeling a part of the process, is you give them these tidbits, Because when the fans feel they're actually a part of the thing, and they kind of got a little bit of some sense of ownership, they're a little more loyal, and they'll stick up for you, and they'll come fight for you. When you keep them at arm's length and you treat them strictly as customers, or you will take what we tell you, and you will not get anything until then. It's like, well, screw you. If that's the way you want to be, and I'm not sure I'm not sure it's all CBS though, because CBS knows how to promote a show. They've done over the years. I think this is Kurtzman following the lead of his boss. It was old boss, JJ, because JJ was big on the secrecy thing. That's a case of why we really miss Carrie Fisher, because she was screw you. She sending selfies out from pictures out from the set. It's like, you're gonna shut up Carrie Fisher? Yeah, sure. Well, that's a different thing about why they won't put the real numbers out for Discovery, because those real numbers are highly embarrassing, and that goes beyond just embarrassing because it looks like it makes it embarrassing because that's their negotiating power for more studio power, and getting more shows, and showing how you did with this show, and so you totally screwed up with that one. And it's like, people are less likely to deal with you, or give you the terms you're after. Now, hold on. Don't need a bite. Yeah. Yes, Kitty had a much better day today. So you're going to be able to stay in the air conditioning much longer today. Well, Netflix, it may have been so much. Partially, they didn't like what they saw, but I think also partially it was just like, no, after you screwed us over with Discovery, we don't care what you got. We're out of here. So to a certain extent, Picard is probably paying for the sins of Discovery. Oh, God knows, Netflix will air all kinds of crap. Just ask Amy Schumer, But Yeah, I think, as far as the numbers go, that's more just a survival technique on their part because they got to be able to show their faces in front of the other network heads and they're doing their. They got to be able to say, "Oh, I set a record," and not, disclose the fact the record was like, okay, they got 12. Well, it was better than the 10 they had before. It's a record. Oh yeah, considering the people in charge, they will make a major hash of it because Stewart he's just looking for something to do. Okay, he wants something new and interesting to do and he doesn't want to play the same old Picard. That was a big draw. People know him say this is what they promised him, something totally different. Because he figures he's done that character. So like they had to offer something of a twist to get him to come back on, and also a whole lot of money. He's a good Yorkshireman. He's being paid, okay? It may result in a Star Trek show that looks more like Our Town than Star Trek, but he's getting paid. That manor house he's in, that didn't come for free. That costs a lot to maintain. He's working a small fleet of Jaguars, too. But yeah, he's, Well, and also, you can't really tell much from again, it's a teaser. So we got a vineyard and a close-up of Patrick Stewart. Can't tell squat from that. As far as shooting at the Anaheim Convention Center, I think someone might want to do a little research on this because my recollection is there aren't a lot of palm trees in San Francisco. That's a little too far north for that. And assuming that Starfleet Command and the Academy are still in San Francisco, it's like, you had a problem there, Sparky. Or are they gonna just explain away by saying global warming? their palm trees are further north. Anyway, on other matters here, looks like Kingsland's not going to happen this time around because the funding did not come in. Did not have the people coming to the rescue throwing a few bucks for that. Had one person contribute money, like $20. Well, that's fine for the week. Maybe it's another Starfleet facility down south, but if they're trying to say a Starfleet Command, because these are the same people who showed us a Vulcan, planet Vulcan, with leafy trees and kind of look. The Starrick household looked really more kind of a cabin type thing up in the hills. That was not a desert home. That was up. That's a mountain type house. And again, being in Colorado, I know what kind of houses you have up in the hills. Okay, that was not something you have in the desert. Okay. And while I will allow that possibly when Sarek had his little vision sitting on the shore, okay, yeah, Vulcan does have some sizable bodies of water, but they are few and far between. And if the idea was that this was at their home, no, their home was in Shikar, and Shikar is very much in the desert because we've seen Shikar a couple of times, okay? Most notably in yesteryear, but also they recycled that, they redid that one and put it in some of the footage, the background paintings for when they did the redo it, Mock Time. Like when the big wide shot up in the distance, there's Shikar, and it looks just like it did in the animated series. And it's still in the middle of a desert! Yeah. Well, with a small garden, you can manage, stuff in a small garden, okay? Even if it's a desert overall, you're only watering a small patch. You can control the environment in a small area there. Yeah. You can have a little patch of grass. What the hell just happened? Yeah, go back. That was weird. Maybe the cat bumped something. Okay. And yes, let's not be accused. There are desert plants. There's cactus and stuff. But you're not going to have the trees with lots of leaves because that's a totally different environment. Okay? Basic earth science, biology. You don't have leaves in the desert. One thing I think they did mess up a bit when they had that story arc on Vulcan. And Archer and T'Pol are chased by what she says was a Salot. And I think really that's a Lamacha, which is more of a, kind of a Vulcan mountain lion type. So I like that one. They kind of screwed up a bit on that one. It didn't look like a Salot from one. I'll have to go back and watch it. Okay, there we go. Oh, I got no faith at all. This is, not even a trust but verify situation. It's like, no, I have no trust at all in these guys. Because one of the things, I said in the video, it's like, how does Kurtzman still get work? He single-handedly destroyed 2 franchises on his own. Between the Spider-Man with the Sinister Six thing, that one went belly up rather quickly. When he was in charge of Spider-Man 2, the Amazing Spider-Man 2, where they kind of killed off Gwen Stacy, not the kind of wrong way. And God knows what kind of thought process went into their version of the Green Goblin. Like, no, Harry, no, sorry. Besides, they already went down that path with the Tobey Maguire movie with, James Franco. Like, they had that covered. It's like with the Fantastic Four movies constantly dragging in Doctor Doom. They have more enemies. There's a bigger rogues gallery than just Doctor Doom. Okay? Doom is something you want to save on. That was one thing the Batman movies kind of got a little bit right when they started going. They didn't focus solely on the Joker. He was rather heavy, but they did, bring in Catwoman and a few others. Okay, Discovery. Oh yeah. Well, the Transformer franchise, that's probably the sole reason why it's still getting work, because it did make mega bucks. It stunk on ice, but it made lots of money for the first 4 movies, okay? Because people just love seeing things go splody, And welcome, Tom. Midnight's Edge After Dark. What? I'm disconnected on the tablet. I hope it's still working over here. Okay, back then. But I think the couple $1 billion, the Transformers thing's brought in, that's probably the one thing that's saving his ass right now. But, no, Discovery, there are serious indications, and I suspect this for a while when they made the announcement, though, is that if the money is not there, then guess what? There's not going to be any 3rd season of Discovery. There'll be a renewal thing, but there's no money for it. Well, hey. Unless they are going to fulfill my little old joke about how season 3 of Discovery is going to be them all sitting on the bridge eating pudding. And probably griping about, old white men, the stupid old white man. He's good pudding, isn't it? All right. And okay, let's save that there. But yeah, no Kingsland this time, so I had to cancel the hotel reservation. I'm still hoping somebody might be able to throw a few $100 at my way at the last minute, and then come the morning, we'll find out. Oh yes, I can go. Just call 126, make the reservation again, and be up there, and at least make it a part of the festivities, because it's only a 3-hour drive. It'll just be a matter of, swinging by, grabbing, getting the camera that I was planning on using from a friend. And then it's like, I'll live stream from the road. Because the thing's on the mount of the windshield. And just, get up there. And because they got a little different setup this time around than they were before. Before was just show up at the studio type thing and wander around. Now they got a thing where you got to swing by this one hotel. It's a few minutes away. That's where they got a registration thing, get armbands, and then, you're off in the paces. I'm trying to control the crowds, I guess, because it was kind of busy. And with the day we got there on a Saturday last time, and they start on Friday. But I'm guessing it was probably pretty damn crowded there. Well, yeah, obviously it is new. It is new. They just made the damn thing. But I think there's nothing really much to gripe about it so much because it's a teaser. They're trying to get look at the stretchy thing. Yeah. See? We got Patrick Stewart. It's Picard. It's, Listener, so what's happening? Not much right now. I'm just talking about, the Picard teaser trailer, which basically got us a look at the Picard vineyards, which didn't seem to have a lot of grapes at the time. It's kind of just starting. Was that spelling deliberate there, Tom? Yeah. Yes, Tom is dangerous when he's well rested, apparently. So, but between, the basically bouncing back and forth between the Picard trailer, which is sort of like, yeah, okay, fine, and then my little aggravation of not be able to make it to Kingsland this time around for the fan appreciation weekend at the Star Trek Continue sets. Because I wanted to get up there and I want to do a real big slinging thing. Yeah, reason he got the job, yeah. And this kind of a lot of reasons people get these kind of jobs on this thing is he's got a computer, can go online, he can edit. Okay, fine. And how is this coming through, by the way? Because we wanted to test this thing out to see if we can still use it, so I can get back in on the live chats. I mean, don't worry about the pictures so much. I'm worrying about the audio. How's that coming through? Yeah, the Terminator trailer was sort of, okay, fine. Like, why is Arnold? Okay, that's good. Because I don't need to be on camera for these chats. Probably better off not, that way. Editing is, okay. So this should be able to work then for some future chat. Why you sit in the car? Well, long story. Actually, not that long, just very tedious. Currently homeless. Got driven out by, well, let's see. Was living with her mom's condo, and she took a turn for the worse, but, the old stereotypical fell down, broke her hip or something, or had to go into a nursing home, and that gave my sister the excuse to drive us out on the street. So we are, through various adventures and misadventures or whatever, currently down in Florida. Started off in Colorado. The Buick we were in got in an accident, and no, I like this. We're in a Ford Explorer now, which is a hell of a lot better than the 94 Buick Park Avenue we had down here. This is getting dark again. Whoops. No. So I've decided, okay, I'm keeping this thing here. I need to, next time I get some money, I'm taking it for an oil change because it's kind of overdue. But I'm geeking the hell out of stickers in the back. And then Yes, yeah, well, at some point get the windows, because the windows don't work, unfortunately. And it's not a fuse. I replaced the circuit breaker thing and like still didn't work. So there's something going on with the fuse box up there that's got them disanned. Well, yeah, a van would be nice because it would be easier to arrange kind of stretch out time because as it is right now, currently the wife is in a rehabilitation center, rest home type thing to get her healed because she's having problems with the legs and especially had a heel injury that was having problems. So she's making progress there. She should be out before too long, but she's still got a little ways to go too. So it's just me and the cat right now. So I'm basically got the seat next to me, which is normally be where my wife would be near, but now it's mine for the now. So I can stretch out a little bit. And going to rack up enough food here because, at this point, it's going to be shifting a bit from pleading for money for Kingsland to just pleading for gas money because I'm down below a quarter tank of gas. And I'm going to need to start hitting a bit for some money. And like they say, super chats are great, but super chats I don't see till next month. So I think we've racked up enough to make up between that and the $30 that was still sitting there from when I got demonetized when the apocalypse hit. Might have enough up there now between all that to actually get a check for about $100 or so, but then that's not until next month. I'm right here now. We're gonna need some money for gas pretty soon here, so. And that's the one aspect of this I don't like having to do because it's try to do some meaningful discussions and insights here, and then it's like, and meanwhile every periodically hold with signs like, well, rant for food, so. But at least I'm honest about it, and this is it's the business, okay. We're going in here and we're trying to make a living at doing this thing, and occasionally someone's got to pay the piper here, so. Well, that would make a little more sense than what they produce. It's a supernova. It's going to destroy half the quadrant. Supernovas don't do that. Anybody who graduated third grade science knows that. Supernova only destroys the system it was in. And frankly, we would not have life as we know it without supernovas. Okay, where do you think all these heavy elements are created? In the hearts of supernovas, and then splattered over the universe. When was the last time I got laid? None of your goddamn business, Well, you got to find a niche, Make it, I mean, you not necessarily, be yourself, but, it's like, well, find something else to shoot that was not so boring. Yes, Mr. Abdul Hafiz Muhammad. When's the last time I got laid? Well, I'm married, asshole, okay? So, again, none of your damn business. So. In fact, why don't we let's see if I can do something here. Go there. Come on, give me some options here. Yeah. I don't wield the band hammer very often, either here and those few rooms where I got a wrench to. But it's like, I got a simple rule. I will discuss about anything, but the second you start getting personal, no, we're not going there. Okay. Because there's been a few times where it's like someone was starting to say, they were making half a valid point. I didn't necessarily agree with it, but they were on the point, and then they threw on a personal slam at the end. My channel, I ain't got to put up with that crap. Alrighty. So, but again, I'm really not that concerned about the. General Tso chicken. Yeah. There was actually some documentary, I think it was on Netflix, about where did this General Tso chicken come from in the first place? Because there is a General Tso. It's actually TSAL, But where he was, they don't have food like that. He would certainly never have had any of it. Like, so someone, and they actually trace it down to there was a Chinese restaurant, I think, in New York that came up with a certain. It's a variation, I think, Kung Pao chicken or something, or something for standard variety of chicken. But there's some guy, and they actually identified the guy who came up. Yeah, I did that. I came up with that, and I don't know if he was the one who attached General Tso's name to it or whatever. But either way, but it's actually one bad because a little bit of detective work because the service is kind of a silly question, like who cares? But well, seriously, where did this stuff come from? Because it doesn't fit the historical record of this general. And again, trying to think of an analogy to that thing. It's like Beatles fried chicken. It's like and Liverpool's not really a fried chicken mecca anyway. So it's like, yeah, we locked. They talked to John. He locked chicken, but he never. My Liverpool accent's horrible. It's been too long. I'd have to work on it. But yeah, I've had General Tso chicken many a time. Fixed it myself, Not sure where we're going with Chinese food, but okay. Yeah. Let's divot over the Terminator trailer a bit. More of a trailer, but because the Picard thing was really teaser in the ultimate sense. It's like you saw nothing, but it's like it's about Picard. You got a little 2 seconds of his face, and that's it. Okay, yeah. If I had some capability to cook something, I could do something like that. But at the moment, it's like if I can't crack open a can, eat straight out of it, or get it from a fast food place. It's kind of sad that I've actually gotten used to the taste of cold pasta. Crack open a can of SpaghettiOs and go at it. You never know. They might just, left this Picard show. I would have a brief thing with maybe some ensign called Logan. Yeah, I would not put it past these morons to put on that kind of bad joke. Well, the Terminator thing is like, it's an easy target because the last one was so bad. And there's enough in there. And Cameron is not necessarily adverse to going a little SJW occasionally. He's still big time lefty, so there's enough in there to go at it. And again, with Picard, it's like Picard to a certain extent is you have 3 female leads and a thing, and then of course Arnie. You're not going to make a Terminator movie without Arnold somewhere in there. He's not getting attention out of it. Picard is, whether rightly or wrongly, going to be suffering for the sins of discovery for a while. Now, the question on that is, have they learned their lesson and be able to produce a good show that bring people back? I don't think so. Because so far, this bunch of clowns have yet to show any real competency in this sort of thing. Oh yeah, and the Terminator, it is still kind of a teaser. There's not really much going on there, and we already know Sarah Connor is a badass, so they're not a violent thing anyway. But they're coming out with the rocket launcher. That's just keeping pretty much in, more or less in character. Speaking of Coke, yeah. I'm just wondering, if because I think there's been a thing around about, as far as Arnold. But, well, yeah, of course, that's why she's there. Is that maybe Arnold's not necessarily playing a Terminator? He could be playing the guy that based the Terminator on, the body style. God, the lighting is making me look horrible. I should do like Mac and angle the camera down a bit so they get a better angle. No, it's like, there's sometimes the reset button is your friend. And those films have gone down a really in the idiotic path. So that, no, get rid of them. That's one thing, with between Bobby in the shower. Yes, these are fictional creations, so to a certain extent, yeah, you can just wipe them off the map with just a stroke of the pen. It's like didn't happen. And I think it was Morgan Woodward when they had. Remember when they did that with Dallas? They had multiple little twists done. One was Bobby had been in an accident or something and came back, and he'd been in hiding for a while, and in the shower in the morning, that was considered the least likely of all of them. But Morgan Woodward said, I hope it is the shower, because this last season's been a pain in the ass. Nobody was really having any fun in there. So they were ready to just, get rid of it, didn't count, no, don't refer to it ever again. So, and the thing, I had actually, come up with something similar to that regarding Battlestar Galactica. Around the same time, on my own, of just running the last 30 seconds of Galactica 1980 with, not the Turn of Starbuck, or even them, just whatever was the last 30 seconds of that show, but kind of hazy. And then, and this is obviously before Lauren Green died. So you hear a voice, Father, wake up, and go, oh, Apollo, thank the gods. And so, I had the most horrible dream. Well, we had found Earth, but it was some backward thing. Oh, Father, we have found Earth, and actually make it a crossover between Galactica and Buck Rogers. So that you have now they find Earth, but it's technologically capable of defending themselves against the Cylons. And so you have Vipers and Starfighters, doing around, and make that make it a big TV movie and have fun. Get Gil Gerard and Dirk Bennett, smirking at each other. And it was shortly after that the whole thing with Dallas and having Bobby in the shower. It's like, okay, they stole my idea somehow. But also the big, the good point where that was used with the good use was when they did with the reaction to Highlander 2. That was another case of first chance I had. No, didn't happen. Because nobody wanted. They figured they did their story with the first one. They they were kind of forced into making the. Yeah, the last everyone even the most diehard haters of Galactic 80s Return of Starbuck. That was that one. Screw the rest of the show. That one episode. Stick that on the end of the original series, and you got. Although even that was kind of dopey with with the friendly Cylon. But with Highlander 2 and the way that one went down, it's that's. And think about the idiotic storyline. I think maybe Mulcahy was trying to sabotage the movie, but coming up with the stupidest thing they could, hoping that they would pull the plug on it. Nope, they ran it. Yeah, their version of the Boy Scouts. Part of that was actually though because the time slot they ran Galactic 80 on, because the original show ran on Sundays, but it was later in the night. they ran 80, like the 80 earlier on in the night. It was like 6 or 7, it was gone opposite 60 minutes. That early in the evening, FCC regulations at the time either had to be informative, educational, some sort of show. They had to be suitable for the kiddies, and that's why they did the kind of really doped up storylines they did, because they couldn't do the same stories they did on the original show. And also apparently a couple of the writers have been interviewed on that, and it's like Glenn Larson did not give a flying fig. Just whatever, just get a script out. I mean, you kind of wondered occasionally if he really gave a crap. Anyway, just churn the stuff out and get Well, he was kind of the Alex Kurtzman of his time, pretty much. But he had hit shows, because he knew to work those formulas and keep crapping out. But they didn't call him Glenn Larceny for nothing. Well, I said mine was blocked worldwide within seconds, apparently, because I think something tripped the bot, and I got a dispute. Formally got a dispute going on that one, so I think it's available now, but it's demonetized, which is fine, I guess. It's up to a 9.5 minute video, so probably wouldn't get much anyway. But I think it is at least visible. But the whole hullabaloo with the premiere thing is kind of dissipated, so who knows what it's going to get now. And the thing is, I got a big watermark over the whole thing, saying the use of this footage is within the jurisdiction, within compliance with the Fair Use Act of 2007. Yeah, they the only ones I got back was Lauren Green and then Herb Jefferson. Herbie's always up for a job. So they pay. I'm there. Yeah, I think mine had 2 views before it got blocked. So I probably know one of them was mine. So I think it might depend on because I'll have to check it out, but there might be something to do is take a look at these how each one does it, what the differences are, if they show any of the video, if they do something to the footage to muck it up a bit, because if they still won't let it go and then get more specific reason, then I got a second version ready to go with heavy. In fact, it was kind of what the second one tempted, but it was blocked within seconds too, and I got some serious filters on that thing. Get this light up. I mean, one of them is called overexposing, where just everything's kind of almost burned out with the blue, so they kind of black. Another one, pretty much all gray with snow, with animated snow going over it, and still the same title of things saying use of this footage is within fully compliance of Fair Use Act, but there's some kind of bot acting like within seconds. No way is that thing tripping somebody on there. It's being automatic. They're picking up probably in the sound. Well, so I need to check these out and see how they're doing them. If they're just talking about them, then I might have to go that route and just talk about the video instead of actually showing it. But it's still idiotic because it's a trailer to advertise. The thing, and our reviewing it gets it out there more than just they're clicking on things. Because the one thing it's shown is that the official Star Trek links, web page is not necessarily getting the links because they burned so badly on Discovery. They're not bothering to even check it out. Let's see. I mean, Trek Yards went. They did a hour and 40 minutes on this stupid trailer. I don't know how you do an hour and 40 minutes on the on a 1 minute trailer, but okay. And let's see. Trek on the tube there. It's up. It's a 7 minute trailer. 7 minute video. And then Trek on the tube. It's 6:43. Okay. Well, they don't want any commentary on it, apparently. But it's promotional. It's advertising. The idea is to get the word out. So I don't know. Corporate lawyers in charge of copyright thing, I just don't really. They just seem to not quite understand why people get pissed off when you do this sort of thing. Yeah, that's I think it is the sound necessarily that's tripping it off. There's something about the soundtrack kicking up. Oh, there you go. We heard that. Yeah. Because I was actually watching one video about how to work the algorithm, and one suggestion was to vary the picture because maybe they're just scanning certain parts, of the screen, and if the colors, match what they're looking for, So one thing is to change the colors around, which is what I was doing with the filters on there. But apparently, while I was premiering, it was already blocked worldwide. So all I got was a soda, because like I said, I'm got right now I got about $6 in PayPal and about $7 in the bank, and then. It's entirely possible that at one point, at some point, most of it's going to be going to the gas tank here because it's getting kind of tight. Listen, I was hoping, by now, that someone would have come, some people would have come through with enough money that I would be, in Kingsland, Georgia by tomorrow, getting ready to, do a thing on. Well, yeah, they do, I actually prefer the Burger King fries now because they spent years trying to come up with an alternate to the McDonald's fries. I think Burger King has kind of come up a little more potato-y there. Yeah, shut up, Picard. That's what I should do. Take that bit of footage and work up a wine commercial. Do my own soundtrack now. The authentic taste of Bourgogne. Shut up, Picard. We'll have no wine before it's time. Warp. Actually, I just don't bother with fries anymore for the most part. Unless I'm just ordering a combo meal for convenience sake. Well, Carl's Jr. Well, yeah. I haven't eaten a Carl's Jr. in God knows how long. Same for Hardee's, even longer for Hardee's. When I was working at McDonald's back around 92, there was a Hardee's kind of across the street, a little bit down, and they just closed out of nowhere. Just yep, and we had a whole staff of Hardee's work somewhere in tears. They show up for work, and it's like the place is closed on them. The owner just did something stupid, and they're kind of getting tears when what are we gonna do? And we ended up hiring a bunch of them. So suddenly we have plenty of staff. Yeah. Okay, I know Hardee's and something else with that. I don't think Carl's Jr. Was the thing, but whatever. I'm kind of surprised. It's one of the brands I found down here. I'm kind of, a little bit, interested with, Okay, it's A&W. I haven't seen A&W in a while. I think there might still be one up in Georgetown, up in the mountains outside of Denver. Yeah, not cheap, Auntie. Yeah, that's interesting. They started doing. Flipa's doing that. Where put the fries in the burger. No, I'm just yakking around for stuff and kind of in search for things. I call it, in Denver area, there may still be a few Hardys floating around, but Carl's Jr. is making a big push there. I'm surprised it's White Castle. There used to be a White Castle in Denver in Cherry Creek area a long time ago, but for some reason they pulled out. I don't know, maybe Denver. We prefer real burgers. Actually, big ones, not these little slider things. I think I'm trying to think if I've seen a Hardee's down here. Might have. Not really looking for them. A lot of Chick-fil-A's though. There was a Sonic over not far from here, but for some reason they closed down. I don't know. Red Robin, yeah, that's Red Robin is more of it's a fancier sit down type place. It's not but they do some big burgers. Actually, part of their got their Red Robin Club. Unfortunately, I'm going to take advantage of the membership benefits for a while. We'll get back into that because one thing we're in right now is, like I said, I mentioned the car accident earlier where we've lost our 94 Buick, which we're kind of ambivalent about. It was, there were problems with that car. And it's kind of hard to really get real attached to it because it's sort of a big lump. But it got us down here. It was a decent car. It was a good engine. The engine been rebuilt, so it was a decent engine there. So someone's going to get a good engine out of it. But it just sort of not, and I kind of felt sorry for the car in a way because I just really couldn't get attached to it that much. Yeah, A&W really, Ripper floats and chili dogs. That's what you mainly go to A&W for. The burgers are fine, but you really go to A&W for a chili dog and a root beer float. I don't know if A&W is out here. So one thing while we're standing by that the accident, and also that it has a factor in why Steph is currently in rehab. She got a hairline fracture and a C1 vertebrae. And I mean C1, that's the top one where your skull sits on it. So the fracture there is a problem. And the actual drive-in, yeah. So, and part of it is trying to get an appointment with a neurosurgeon. You can get a CT scan so they can see how it's healed up. This was back in January when the accident happened. It's now May, it's May now. So it probably healed up within a couple weeks. Okay, so now it's just trying to get someone to officially certify, yes, you can take the collar off. Okay? Because that's our thing. It does affect how well you can move when you can't move. Yeah. When you're kind of trapped in the, it's like being trapped in the, Michael Keaton Batman suit. He's like, But we are currently not, probably the most lauded law firm representing us on this thing. And they on their website that look at the listing of the settlements they've gotten. They've got some serious money, a couple $1 billion, in fact. And the lawyer we got on our case is the managing partner in this area, and he's racked up some serious, awards. So we are very hopeful that when all is said and done, we will have enough money on our thing to really, set ourselves up somewhere. Possibly even back to, getting to the UK, because that is kind of a little dream there, to essentially retire to England. Because, I was in the Air Force in 85, 85 to 89 I was in the Air Force, and in 85 to 87 I was in England. Out at RAF Bentwaters and RAF Woodbridge, out in East Anglia. And at the time and they might still do it, but when rotating back, they kind of, on a few occasions, they actually ask you what you want to do. They had a thing called indefinite TDY, which is, just kind of, not no set date of returning back. Because I was, set to go, get there September 15th of 85, and at the point was scheduled to go back on September 11th of 87. But this thing comes out, do you want to just make an indefinite TDY where it's like you just stay put, and you don't go back until you feel like you've had it with England. I wanted to stick around. I figured 2 years is not enough, and I just might stick around for a thing. Oh man, I'm in England, I'm fine. And I did put in, but the Air Force again, had different ideas. No, you're going back. But but if I had, they'd actually listen to my what I'd say, I'd probably still be there. But yeah, if the money is good enough and we can find a cheap place in somewhere in Oxfordshire, because I want to get a little heavy into the family history research there, and it's kind of, there's a little choppy, records back there, because there's a pretty well, very well worn track going my family line back to Virginia. And so everyone with my last name, they all descend from this one guy. There were other people in the family came over, but they all mostly either went back to England or they only had daughters. Only this one guy had a son, and he had sons, and so that every one of the currently with a family name either was descended through him or sad to say were slaves. Well, again, we have got a law firm down here, that oddly enough, it's Morgan and Morgan. they're handling the case, and they've gotten multi-million-dollar result, or multi-million-dollar settlements. So that's probably more than I should have said, but that's all I'm going to say on that. But they're handling it. And they're going up against it, so all we gotta do is sit back and let them make them work their magic. Mm-hmm. Well, it's kind of this stupid. Part of it is that's why they're why Brexit happened, to get rid of something, because not all the stupid laws are coming out of Westminster; they're coming out of Brussels. So. And I feel kind of obligated to go back and help the ancestral homeland. But it was kind of weird when I was over there, though. It's like, there was one point where it was like, I don't know, day off or whatever, but there was, just wandering around kind of the woods out in there. And I just got this feeling of, I am home. This is where I belong in this country, even though I was on the other side of the country than my ancestors were, because my ancestors, come from like Oxford and Buckinghamshire area, and I was in East Anglia, other side of London, probably about 100 miles. But it was still like, you're in England, boy. This is where you belong. But it's also kind of, I like a place with some history to, real history on it. The old joke is, to Americans, 100 years is a long time, to a Brit, 100 miles is a long distance. Because I'm kind of intrigued by the idea that, you could be digging a hole in your backyard and hit something from the Roman period, or any of the, whereas out here, it's like, I just, in Florida, there's stuff that goes back, about 500 years, like the Spanish occupation, but that's about it, really. Anything beyond that, you're talking Indian stuff. And yes, I use the term Indian because Native American is a white liberal term. You ask the actual natives, they prefer the term American Indian because it sounds cooler. Yeah. In fact, that's why, the American Indian movement that Russell Means founded. And Russell Means was a type that, unless you were full-blood Indian, you were nothing. Yeah. So it's a case of, you want to know what truly offends the people and what they don't care about. Ask the people themselves. Okay. Don't listen to the self-appointed advocates for these. Ask the people themselves. Make sure you can document that Cherokee, because I was told for a long time, that apparently I had a half Cherokee great grand uncle or something or other. Neat. And upon further review, no, there are no Indian blood at all. Actually, the genealogy, they did not bear anything out. What really nailed it down was when they did the DNA test, the Ancestry.com DNA thing. And especially when they went back and revised the results, because it was like 77% British and 27% Scottish, and then a spatter and other stuff. Went back in later and they had revised it. 74% British, 26% Scottish. That's it. Not a drop of anything from anywhere outside of Britain. No. So it's a case of no, Uncle Cecil was telling stories again. So. Yeah, actually, in Denver they have a thing, powwows, what they call it, it's a big international. All the tribes come down. They met at the Denver Coliseum. Which is, it's an old place. It's a very historic place. There's a lot of, Led Zeppelin did a North American debut there, and Elvis played there once or twice. But they take over the convention center for, the Coliseum. And some of the vendors, the T-shirts out on there. So, I'm part Cherokee, but I can't prove it. It's, it's a common thing. Apparently, Cherokees got around to it. But I'll tell you what, if you want to really get into some Cherokee stuff, Tahlequah, Oklahoma is where the Cherokee Nation has their main headquarters. And they got a thing about the Trail of Tears and all that stuff. And the thing is, I got family members who live down there. They're not Indian, but my Uncle Bill and his family are down there. And of course, we had to go by the Cherokee, center, do the tour. Not a, and first time I was like, no, that'd be 11. Got a little trailer, coloring book or whatever, and all this kind of historical stuff about the Trail of Tears and what it's all about. Yeah, of course, I was too young to really appreciate it. I paid attention years later when I finally read more about the history. But it's like, okay, now that's what that was about. And you kind of understand why some people want to get Andy Jackson off the 20, But that's the sort of thing. It's like, claiming to be, little part Cherokee. It's like, why do you think Elizabeth Warren got so much mileage out of that thing? And just claim it's because of the high cheekbones, which frankly is racist. I think a lot of people have high cheekbones, Catherine Zeta-Jones. She's got high cheekbones. She looks like an Indian. She is Welsh. She is as Welsh as they come. Okay. So, So yeah, them DNA tests are real fun. Just spit in a tube, mail it off, pay you $100 or so. One of these days, try that 23andMe thing. Really go into the details. They go nuts on this stuff. But let's see. We have discussed fast food. We're talking into Native American Indian stuff here, and trailers that were lame or whatever. Let's see. No, she is very much Welsh. She does a good Spanish, but that thing, most people, first time they took notice of her was in, Mark of Zorro. But yeah, she told a story when she was on Letterman. Her accent comes, her Welsh, how Welsh her accent is comes and goes by how much, how often she talks to home. Because when she's, just hanging around, with everyone else, the family or in America, it's a very subtle accent. Really, you almost go, she can do a very good American. She's very good at accents. She can, in fact, I'm talking about, she's on Letterman. Talking about, she was on the phone talking to her mother back in Wales. And, Michael Douglas, her husband, sitting by there. And listening to them talk. And that's a lovely language. You should say that more often. You speak that more often. And she kind of, we were speaking English, but the accent had gotten so damn thick, you could not tell that they were speaking English. And Welsh can go very, very heavy. In fact, there are certain Welsh accents sound fake. They're so over the top. But during the same conversation, though, it's like, then let her, so it's not where they've got, no, it's not Scottish at all. And then not Irish. And then she went through a whole range with every nationality he rattled off. She'd come back in that nationality. So she can do accents. All right, getting ready to the tribe is difficult. Her father's Cheyenne. Okay, well, I can understand the tribes get picky because, there are actual monetary benefits for being an actual registered member of a tribe. If, the old 1/8 rule. Like, if you are 1/8 a certain percent of the tribe, then you can actually qualify for payments from the government. Which is kind of why I want to plug out this thing of nail down this idea of this, Cherokee, great-grandmother or great-great-grandmother. Because if we can nail that down and get that card, that's like, great right father, give me a check. Yeah. But as I said, that turned out to be total hunkum anyway. Because no. The only Indian, thing going in my family is of anybody who was on the employee of the East India Company at the time. I'm drinking a lot more tea now. Okay. So I've got to bounce out of that. I guess the advantage of having, because I'm doing over here on the phone, but also got on the tablet here to keep track of it all. There. Just pause that. I'm going to see the video just at the chat. Because there's no way I could be able to do the chatting on this thing here. Where are we at? All right, we got 5 people still hanging out here, so. Ooh. Any other ideas for talking? We're getting, we're just going to wander and doing strange things, Whoops. What's going on? Stop that. There we go. No. Don't go. Damn it. Come on, stay put. No, come on. Load. What? Yeah. All right, I just totally got out of it. Yes, it's useful to have a second device going, but sometimes it can be very confusing too. So. How you doing, kitty cat? Yeah. Yeah. Get you purring here real good. Yes. There we go. Get that motor running. Yeah. And okay. Okay. I'm trying to find my own chat here. Let's see. Come on. Go. Okay, and get back on here. Let's see what's happening. Come on, wake up, you. Oh, for Christ's sakes, come on. Get back. It's not going to let me connect. Christ, get out of that. Every one of those days. Yeah. Okay. Oh, another one channel I'm going to. Cena Drums. This German girl. She's 19 now, but she's been doing this for a few years here. So a lot of these videos she's got when she was like 13, 14, 15. She is an incredible drummer. And one of the things she does, these are tutorial videos, but also she'll do drum covers or playing the song, and then she'll do the drum part. And one of them is Won't Get Fooled Again by The Who. And you think, she's basically, you think for a minute she's being possessed by Keith Moon. She nails it. And she's doing video about why Ringo is such a good, such an incredible drummer. And she knows Ringo stuff. Get this thing connected up and see what's going on. Doesn't want to let me in. My own damn chat, damn it, come on. Come on, get me in there. Up, and meanwhile, come on, get it. Now the phone stack lane's gonna run out of power here, so and yeah, that's a 15%, and it won't charge because the temperature's too high. So we've been going at this for a little over an hour. Well, come on, get back in here. Get down there more. Come on. Yes. You spoiled little girl. Come on. Yeah. So yeah, this thing is gonna wrap to an end here, whether we want to or not, because the phone is running out of, the charge is running down, and because it's overheating, it also won't take the charge. So even though it's plugged in, here we go. Okay. Too bad Mecca's in here, not in here. He's like, oh, 50% Hagawi. Yeah. Yes, the Hagawi tribe or something, are perpetually lost because they usually go on, constantly, where the heck are we? That is actually 160 show. I have never seen F Troop. Heard a lot about F Troop, but I think I've heard the theme song, but I've never actually seen any episodes of F Troop. I should actually, watch those to get a better appreciation of Forrest Tucker and Larry Storch working together. Although I was a loyal viewer of the Ghostbusters on the day. So there was a thing of like, oh, stop that. So when the movie came along, it was like, it had been long enough I'd forgotten about the show though, so there's an element of, why does that title sound familiar? And then I'd be pointing out, oh yeah! We're the Ghostbusters. I'm Spencer. He's Tracy. I'm Kong. All right. Yeah. Yeah, this situation are going to be a little easier if we get, got regular government checks. As if for some reason, I'm still not entirely sure why, but we couldn't even get food stamps down here, so. Because normally it's like there's hands in a card, but nope. We're still trying to figure that out. Well, it's just slapstick, and there's really nothing that era specific about that show either, is it? Just a goofball slapstick comedy show for the kids. And Bob Burns in his gorilla suit. Yeah, it was a live action CBS show that Filmation did, because they were getting getting the live action stuff at that point. Yeah, it was, it didn't run long, but it was a funny show. But again, it was just, very goofball slapstick stuff. And Larry Storch and Forrest Tucker, and like I said, Bob Burns in his gorilla suit. Now, you want to do a gorilla, and you can't afford to get Rick Baker, you get Bob Burns. So three characters: Spencer, Tracy, and Kong. Forrest Tucker played Kong. Tracy was the gorilla. So. Yeah, but they'd go around and they'd deal with various creatures and monsters or whatever, I think the first episode they were doing a couple of vampires. Yeah, it's just classic slapstick comedy, really. Yeah. Goofy as all hell, but very non-threatening too. Because I forget, and they had kind of a projector type thing that would, look kind of like a big camera, but and they'd send them back to their dimension, or whatever, and they'd run around an old car. Yeah, it was around that time period the Filmation was trying to get outside of just animated stuff. They were doing, let's see, Jason Star Command and Space Academy and Arc 2. And actually, those episodes, the Ghostbusters, are on YouTube, so you can look them up and something came on there. So, all right, now what are we down to here? All right, the phone is down to 8%. I probably should wrap this up here because nothing much is going on here. So, spread the word around. Because Kingsman's a lost cause apparently, or at least most of it. Like I said, I'm open to the possibility of enough money coming in to get up there at least for part of it. But also just general survival, for the rest of the month is still there. So PayPal, Patreon, in the on the main channel page. It's kind of tough to manage it the way I'm doing these things here, but yeah. All right. Some people are just giddy over the moon about it looks good, and some of us just saying there's nothing there, so it's kind of hard to get excited over it. I think some people are excited because they didn't screw anything up apparently. So they're showing the vineyard. Yeah. I think a lot of it's going to be waiting until we actually know something for sure what's going on before we can actually say whether or not it's going to suck or whatever. But some of us saying, based on the people in charge, it's pretty certainly going to suck. They're going to screw up Picard like they screwed up, everything else they've done. And, like somebody point out with the taking on Kowalski and his version of the timeline situation, it's like, really, you don't need the kind of semi-conspiracy theory thing that Secret Hideout is a front for Bad Robot. They've done that to themselves, the way they have done Discovery, by changing so much to the point where there is no way to possibly reconcile that with canon. That's what I diagrammed out, where you got the original timeline up here, the JJ stuff and the Discovery stuff down here, and the barrier in between. That's just the legal reality of where they're at, because there is no way they can possibly reconcile any of that stuff and have it fit in there. So I don't care how much they say, it's Prime, it's counting. No. Because I said, you can't go from the Enterprise they saw in the cage to the one they showed in Discovery and then back to the one in Where No Man's Gone Before, because that's what they're asking you to do. There's no way you can add anything with any kind of integrity to the storyline and have that be in there. So they have really put themselves in the corner of there's no way on God's green earth Discovery can be canon. And you can't just come back, it's a visual reboot. Visual reboot's still a reboot. Because another thing is all the other shows have established this is what TOS looked like. This is what it was like, what Star Trek looked like. And they all base the designs on the original series, or they actually work themselves into actual footage from the original series. In the case of Trials and Tribulations, and even starting with Relics, that big wide shot of the bridge is from This Side of Paradise. They only built one console, the turbolift doors, and they somehow got, I'm not sure if it was the original command chair or a reproduction, but the helm was a reproduction. They didn't know where the helm was at that point. But they really only built very little of the set. The rest of it was actual footage from the original series. So you can't get more integrated than that when you're actually, putting your characters into original footage. If that doesn't say this is canon, they're a part of it, I don't know what else can. And why they don't get that over on Secret Hideout, where they're trying to... Well, the ship was upgraded, and like I said, anybody who says that Discovery is still canon with the Enterprise looking like that and the uniforms not matching, they're in serious denial. There are psychotic levels of denial, really, if you seriously believe that you can just squint your way past that. And somehow it all works, because it don't. So they're trying to get, why did you leave Starfleet? Come on, I want to know more. So, some people are excited about it, other ones like, I really don't care. Yes, that was my cat. And now he's gone back there, I think, back to his food. But he's got a whole thing, way in the back. He's got his food dish back there in a litter box. All back by the back hatch. At this point, I'm just trying to, throwing videos together, hoping one of them goes viral. Because I think that was kind of the one thing that really kind of got this channel going first time when it was still monetized, was I had done a no versus kind of life right now. We're on an extended road trip. And then this is like 2.5 years so far. We've been down here a year. But nothing else. This is kind of proof you can literally do this gig anywhere. Imagine how well it's going to be when I actually get a house and actually set up a studio and have some real fun. I can be working out of a real computer and not just my laptop, which is thankfully hasn't given up the ghost just yet, but it's pushing it. But it kind of goes back to the if that settlement's big enough. We've already decided, yes, we're going to buy a house somewhere. It's a matter of how big a house we can get. If we get one of the really big settlements there, then yeah, we're probably going back to Denver because that's where all our stuff is. Any other place, I've tried talking like $2,000 to move this stuff. If you go to England, that's a hell of a lot more than $2,000. Yeah. Tell me you're joking, otherwise you're getting tossed. But yeah, there's a lot of practical reasons for going back to Denver. I said, besides the fact all our stuff is there, I've established a relationship with the program director at KQMT 995 The Mountain. So I keep that going, and there's a possibility for a job. Actually, the field I trained in. Also, while I'm trying to get that, I can hopefully get the volunteer gig back at KGNU in Boulder, where I was there for like better part of 10 years. And they're recently put out a little call for someone to fill in my old slot. Okay, Operation Fishbowl. What's that all about? Sun is also flat. How does that work? Because you realize all these little, Earth is flat, then you generally wind up with versions of the universe that are 87 times more complicated than what is actually going on, It's like the whole thing about they faked the moon landings, and if you really think about it, the technology level in 1969 was not capable of faking those moon landings. Because, all you see nowadays is the highlight reels of what went on the moon. At the time, it was wall-to-wall coverage of the astronauts, and it's like a couple hours of just watching these guys bounce around the moon on, picking up rocks, and nothing was really going on. The technology to fake that on video was not there. The only way you could do that was a live feed. Because, yeah, that's a weird thing. No, there's too much, Because, the bottom line of all these evaluations is like, it was cheaper just to fly to the moon. Because the technology level and the expense it would cost to actually realistically fake this was more than just building the rocket and flying to the damn moon and doing it for real. And that's what they did, Okay, basically, the history of the Earth-Moon system. In a nutshell, the Earth used to be a good deal larger until it got hit by something, the small planetoid. As part of the early days of the planet, everything's still molten and forming, and there's some stuff flying around. and we got clipped by a small planetoid. I think that it got disintegrated, but it broke off a pretty big chunk of it, and that's what coalesced into the moon. The moon did not form independently like other planets. It was debris that got ejected from the Earth and eventually coalesced back into another orb. But it doesn't really have a core, real active core. It's just a lot of really surface material, mantle and crust that just coalesce back in there. It doesn't have the stuff that you usually have in the core. That's why it's really just a big rock. Yeah. Pretty much, I think. Well, yeah, pretty much. There was all the ejected stuff from that collision. Because a lot of people, I think, pretty much think of the Pacific Ocean. That's the impact crater from what formed the moon. Yeah, and also another thing that everyone keeps forgetting, as far as everyone's up to quiet. One, the bigger conspiracy is, the harder it is to keep track of, because someone's going to talk at some point. Someone with actual knowledge is going to talk and blow the whole thing. But also the Russians. Why the hell would the Russians keep the secret? They would be on there just to fake. No, Russians, and they did not go to the moon. We were tracking. They have yet to say anything. They were trying to get there themselves. Okay. Just the simple fact that the Russians collusion. No, good God. But yeah, it's like, yeah, you jump in the middle of it. Who's doing who? But no, if there was any truth to the Russians, to the thing being faked, the Russians would have blown it sky high 10 minutes after Neil Armstrong did his first step on there. Again, the Russians would have blown the whole thing wide open for their own, propaganda purposes, to show lying, decadent West, and still cannot even do that. Okay. Yeah, Apollo post right never waited from Gemini and Apollo, because Apollo was different than Gemini and Mercury. Okay, Mercury and Gemini, you're just orbiting. Yeah. Occasionally step out for a walk, but But Apollo was actually going out and landing somewhere and then coming back. And doing it another, let's see, about another 5 times. Because 13 didn't quite make it. Right. Okay. That's the thing. The more keep going this thing. DMT. Well, that. No, but a lot of things, like people are talking about claiming this is fake or that is fake, or Stanley Kubrick was doing something. They know nothing about photography or video production or the technology level at the time or what the coverage was like at the time. Because you're talking to number one space race junkie right here, guys, okay? I was there planting my little 5-10-year-old ass in front of the TV, watching these hours of footage where the astronauts are really not doing much of anything as they're walking around and picking up rocks and making bad jokes at each other. Yeah. I remember one thing where one of them actually fell down and was having trouble getting, because you're kind of like a turtle in that suit, rolling along the lunar surface while another guy's just kind of bounding along, and he can't do much either because if he tries to bend down and pick them, they'll both be falling down. So it took a while before they finally got up. Yeah. Cars Cars could barely hold up back then. It wasn't that long ago. I had a '69, VW. Okay, cars. It's all in how you take care of them and how you're built. Okay. Planned obsolescence is thing. Back once upon a time, yeah, they did make cars last, at least 10 years because you didn't buy a car every year. You drove it until it fell apart. When basically the economy picked up enough that people were making kind of money, that's when they started making it. So the car, started falling apart after 5 years, and you had to buy another one. I heard about it was a company that made record players, and they built this thing so it would last. And they made these things that almost 100 years later they're still playing. The company went out of business because nobody came back to buy a second one. They bought it, and that's that. And oh no, cars can hold up very well. There's plenty of old cars from long before that are still running today. For God's sakes, okay, that's stupid. Cat, stop that. What are you looking at yourself for? Broke down cars are always a theme or event in movies. That's movies. It's TV shows. That's an excuse you make on a date when you want to get lucky in the backwoods with a girl. Oh, I'm out of gas, gee, and I can't go walking, leaving you out there. We're gonna have to get in the back seat and get warm. Yep, cars break down. God knows we've all seen that. If you're in a car for any amount of time, some things go weird. Yep. I'm not sure what they would have done for, what do we got here? All right. I think the reason that thing's still going is because it's plugged in, because it's not charging. It's not a 1%. All right. Well, as fun as this has turned out to be here, talking about the moon landing stuff, and this phone's about to go belly up on me here, so we're going to have to wrap it up, I think. Spread the word around. Need more subs so I can get more views up there, so I can get the monetization working in my favor. And PayPal, Patreon, especially PayPal. Challenger was a case of, it's kind of, what the hell? Show it, what the hell? Whatever that is. What is that video I just allowed? Now, challenge is a case of any kind of endeavor where the schedule is more important than getting the job done right. It always ends in disaster. Whether it was Star Trek: The Motion Picture, where they had to hit that December 7th date where the film was ready or not, and it really wasn't. It was a rough cut at best, and then we basically had a 30-year test screening. Titanic, you got to get there, and the hell of high water, and you plow into a iceberg. The Apollo 1 fire, everyone's getting so damn soon. They don't need to take a minute to tell it. Everyone just stop, go home for the night. They pushed it too far. You got a fire, 3 dead astronauts. And Challenger, they need to get that launch, when they're done. They need, and it was too cold. And they were told it was too damn cold to launch, and they launched anyway. And guess what? Blew an O-ring, blew up. And I think we can probably throw in Columbia too, because they had to bring that crew down right away. And then, no, you need to get somebody out there to take a look at that wing, see how big see how big a hole you got in there, and maybe have them hang out at the space station a little longer while you prep another shuttle to go up there and bring the crew down and maybe fix that hole in Columbia, because they're about ready to retire Columbia anyway. The entire thing was about ready to go. Okay, let's see about that. If the chat's still active on this thing, I'll check it out later. But sometimes I do these things like, chat isn't active. Why? I didn't do that. But yeah, I'm just wondering about where this whole thing about the Earth is flat, they fake the moon landings, where they come from. I mean, granted, there were some, there were people back in the day who didn't believe it because it's back in the day and it was a pretty monumental thing, but no, okay? Please. The ancient Greeks established the Earth was round, okay? All it took was two sticks about 20 miles apart. You measure the shadow, carry the arc out, and they're only off by maybe 2%. And that's because, the Earth is not a perfect sphere. It's more of an old, kind of bulges a bit in the middle because of centrifugal force. But again, and even Columbus, this thing proved the world is round. They had known the world was round for 1,000 years. Okay, over that, ancient Greece time, they knew it was round. Okay, how everything was arranged was an open question by that point. Whether everything shook around the Earth or did or around the sun or whatever. But even then, they were another Greek astronomer back in the day had figured out that it was everything rotated around the sun. And it took a lot of burning a few thousand years to figure that out again. Thank you, Copernicus. But this thing about, the Earth is flat, it's like nobody sophisticated above the hunter-gatherer stage believes the Earth is flat, okay? Now, do you really want to lump yourself in with Aboriginal tribes who, still worship tree stumps and eat people? No. It's not a good look. All right, so yes, it is very spherical. In fact, Earth said that if you shrunk the Earth down to the size of, say, a cue ball, it would be the most perfect, smooth surface beyond anything capable of our technology today. Whereas if you took a cue ball and exploded up to the size of the Earth, you would have deeper canyons than anything. We got deeper than the Asiatic Tract. Yeah, that's another thing. It's like, these expeditions that have gone to the poles, and it's like there's no wall. It's just more, On Top Gear one time, it's like they drove to the North Pole, and then all you saw was just, well, it's more. It's like, if you keep on driving, it's going to be going south now because there's only the GPS and okay, and now we are perfectly on the North Pole. In fact, Johannes Kepler, who developed the laws of planetary motion. That's a guy, it's like, he was at least intellectually honest enough to recognize when his own theories, which were totally crackpot, were wrong as hell. He didn't ignore the findings. He, did the measurements and realized, okay, well, so much for my idea. This is how it actually